Jaya Srila Prabhupada. So the Atma is distinguished from matter and material elements. It is transcendental. Although the Atma is actually causing here everything in the material world, it is distinguished. The materialistic scientists, they say, oh, there is no Atma, there is no soul. But even they accept the law of preservation of energy. Like the energy is circling. For example, this computer, at one point it's going to be finished. So then you put it in the recycling or whatever. But the elements, they're going to disintegrate. But they're not going to be finished. They're not going to disappear. They just change the form. So similarly, in this world, everything is changing. But matter as the energy remains. So we can challenge the materialists, those who say that there's no soul. Why are you saying soul? That's nonsense. That's a fairy tale for people who can't deal with the reality of life. You're going to die. So what? Why do you have to make up these stories about the soul, about God? You're going to die. That's it. It's finished. It's said. So you enjoy while you can and be peaceful. See, this is the atheistic theory. Charvaka Muni. You know Charvaka Muni? The philosophy of Charvaka Muni. Charvaka Muni was the greatest atheist. And he said, he had a kind of like a teaching. He said, beg, borrow, steal. Some or other. Get money and enjoy. Because when you die, everything is finished. So, beg, borrow, even steal. There's no future life. Steal. And that's okay because there's no reaction. There's no karma. This is for foolish people to believe in karma and so on and so on. So we can challenge all these atheists. We can say that, oh, if it is so, and you finished, right, at the time of death, and that's it, how can anything be finished? If consciousness is matter also, how can it be finished? Nothing is finished. Matter preserves itself. You follow? Matter is always preserved. The law of preservation of energy. So if you say, oh, then you finished, at the time of death you finish, you die, that's it. How can I be finished? If I'm matter, I should continue. Nothing is finished. It's like the elements from this house, right? There's some earth, water. Prabhupada says you need earth, water and fire to make a house. You take the mud, earth, you mix it with water, you put it in the oven, fire, and you have a brick. You make a brick like this. So you build a house like that. So when the house is finished, then the earth portion goes to the earth, the water goes to the water, and the fire goes to the fire. You see? So it's a foolish theory from both sides. From the point of view of material understanding, materialistic understanding, because matter is eternal, even according to the scientists, or they call it energy. The energy is eternal. And from a spiritual point of view also, it doesn't make sense. This is actually what Krishna tells Arjuna. That even if you think that the body always dies and the soul is always born, you have nothing to lament for. Who laments for the loss of chemicals? Let's say we're just a bunch of chemicals. So if the chemicals change their constitution, they say like that, why we die? Because the chemicals, they change the combination. The combination is no longer suitable to produce consciousness. So why would you lament that the chemicals change their combination? Why would you lament for that? So they have no understanding and no philosophy. It's completely illogical. So we don't accept that. We say, yeah, Atma is completely distinguished from matter and material elements. So all scriptures, instruction, and spiritual values are meant for the satisfaction of the same self or Atma. You see? So they asked Prabhupada, what is the aim of life? What is the aim of life? So Prabhupada said, to enjoy is the aim of life. So people misunderstand. They think spiritual life means denial of pleasure. Materialism means to enjoy, hedonism, and spiritual life means the opposite, dry renunciation. So actually this is not so. All the spiritual values, all the religious scriptures are meant to satisfy the Atma. Atma is not a denial of pleasure, but it is the focus on the real pleasure, the pleasure of the Atma. Right now, our material existence, our material enjoyment, it resembles a person who's eating foodstuff with a cloth on his tongue. Imagine you put a cloth on your tongue, and then you're taking, carrot kheer or whatever, pakora. Is that any pleasure? Is there any pleasure if you have a cloth on your tongue? That's ridiculous. See, you have no feeling. You can eat the food, but you don't feel the food. So similarly, we are enjoying materially, but we don't feel the pleasure. The soul doesn't feel the pleasure. The soul is, as Prabhupada says, completely distinguished from matter and material elements. Completely distinguished. So your senses are enjoying, yes. Your eye is interacting with the sense objects with the form. Your nose is interacting with the sense object of smell. Your tongue is interacting with the sense enjoyment of the taste, and so on, touch. But you, the spirit soul, you're not involved in that process. Try to understand this. You're not involved in this process. So then people will say, are you saying that we should not eat, we should not sleep, we should deny the body, and so on, so on? No. We don't say you deny, but don't identify with the body. As long as you identify, oh, this is me, I'm American, I'm Chinese, I'm man, woman, ugly, beautiful, tall, small, black, white. I fall into this illusion. I think that I'm the body. And because I think I'm the body, the enjoyment of the senses becomes the topmost priority in my life. And because the body is ever changing, right? Even during the life, even during our very lifetime, it is constantly changing. Then I'm simply chasing a dream which will never be fulfilled. See, you're trying to satisfy your body. Okay, so you make a career, you save money, you make a nice family, you marry, or whatever. So many plans we have. But we want to satisfy the body, and while we're trying to get the objects of sense pleasure, the body already changed. The body already changed. And when the body changed, the desire also changes. So many desires. Sometimes people, they argue like that. They say, no, I'm not the same. When we say that, the body changes, but you remain the same. So they argue back. They say, no, I'm also changed. I've changed my intelligence. I'm more intelligent now. I'm more relaxed now. I have different personality, like that. So yes, it's true. That false personality, yes, that is changing also. Your false sense of identity, right? Just like now here, it's called Slovakia, but before it was Czechoslovakia, right? So 20 years ago, you would say, oh, I'm a Czechoslovakian. Now things are different. The body changes, right? Things are changing in this world. Now because I'm a Slovakian, I have a different designation. So this is waste of time. Sanatana Dharma means eternal occupational duty of ever-living entity. Eternal occupation. See? Eternal. So if we apply that eternal activity or eternal characteristic on the impermanent, then we suffer. We suffer. Actually, we want to love Krishna. We want to love. Love means forever. Not that I love for a little while, then I change. I find another girlfriend, another one, another one, another one. That is not love. That is simply sense gratification. But that desire to love unconditionally, that is there. And it's being misplaced on this impermanent manifestation. So now all the scriptures in the world, all the different religions, all the different paths, all the different spiritual masters, provided they're bona fide, they try to bring people from this temporary platform or absorption in the temporary engagements for temporary pleasures to the pleasure of the Atma, the soul. The pleasure of the Atma is, as we know, devotional service to Krishna. It's like watering the roots, you're watering all the branches and leaves automatically. Similarly, by loving Krishna, you love everyone. It is not that a devotee of Krishna, he doesn't love anyone except Krishna. That is also not the idea. Krishna is not alone. Krishna is not alone. Krishna, whenever you say Krishna, then you mean Krishna, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his associates also. We are all associates of Krishna. All of us. Even Adolf Hitler, believe it or not, even he was an associate of Krishna. All of us, all living entities. Eternally. These are all different bodily designations, bodily karma, bodily, mortal material nature, and so on, so on. So, and in general, spiritual path must lead you to Atma, Yen Atma Suprasidati, the eternal pleasure of the soul. That is a genuine path. And we should also make that determination. I will not deal with nonsense so-called teachers who are giving me the temporary pleasure. That we have to become sincere. That is up to you. If you still have a desire that, yes, I am soul and I should love God, I should render devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. I know. But I have a body and I enjoy the body and I need the body. So my spiritual master should supply things also for the body. What is this? Otherwise he's bogus. He tries to cheat me. I'm supposed to follow all these regulations, no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, and for nothing. And this guru doesn't even give me nice sense gratification for the body, preserve the body. He doesn't solve my health problems when I have a problem, and he's bogus. No. This sort of mentality, if we're not fit to accept a bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master doesn't give you any of these things because these things are decided by your karma. Your suffering and your pleasure is already decided by destiny. It's already there. You can't change it. It's impossible. These people, all of these authorities, they're all bogus spiritual masters, the doctors, the teachers, the politicians, because they try to persuade you, no, you can change it. You can change that karma. See, we're going to do this adjustment and that adjustment and so on, and we can change it. Just believe. In the future, I'll give you a post-dated check. Here's post-dated check. I'm going to pay you in the future. Now you work for me. See? So the spiritual master, he doesn't flatter you like that. No, I'm not going to give you any sense gratification. Quite the opposite. I'm going to tell you that you should be less concerned for your own sense gratification. That is actually your problem. You see, but this is not possible for most of the people. We're so much attached, especially to sex life. So much deep-rooted desire. Sex life actually is the desire to control. Sex life doesn't mean, the sex life, gross sex life. It's a more deep principle, deep concept behind it. The gross sex life is just the side effect, or I would say gross manifestation. But the root problem is that we want to load it over this material world. We want to be God. So when it manifests grossly, it is, gross sex life. If it manifests subtly, is the desire to be adored, to be worshipped, to be famous, to control, to have as much as possible, like that. So because this is not possible to give up right away, this false ego, ahankara, there are various scriptures and various spiritual masters who are taking the people on the right path gradually. Gradually. This is how you can actually understand why there's so many different religions. Actually, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a chapter called The Vision of Faith. You remember that chapter? The Vision of Faith. Remember? No? It's 17th chapter. So there, Arjuna is asking Krishna that what happens to someone who's worshipping according to his own faith? Is he in goodness, passion? What is his position? So then Krishna explains, yes, there are different types of faith. According to our conditioning, we develop different type of faith. And to facilitate the spiritual progress to all these varieties of people, Krishna sends different instruction according to different time, place, circumstances, audience. You see? So then it becomes a little confusing. And they fight with one another. They fight. Because, why they fight? They don't have to necessarily fight. But why they fight? Why they fight? Because they do not pick up the essential teaching. The essential. They get sidetracked by the formalities, by the details. Just like, in ISKCON, this whole ISKCON Ritvik battle is about the formality. Who's going to throw the banana in the fire? This is the whole fight about. That's it. There's no other fight. There's no deep philosophical difference. Right? There are these gurus in ISKCON, they're throwing bananas in a fire. Right? And then the Ritviks, they're also throwing the banana in a fire. There's no difference. The ISKCON Ritvik, there's no difference between these two camps. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. It's just a fight. Who's going to be the priest? Right? These people in ISKCON, these gurus, they're priests. They're not gurus, actually. They're not gurus, they're priests. And it's a war of priests. Who's going to get the dakshin? When there's initiation, there's a dakshin. You should also think of this. The dakshin. You heard of dakshin?
Yes, but I don't know.
Dakshin means you give a donation. You must give a donation, otherwise the initiation is not valid. The ceremony. Yeah. So what we do is we give the dakshin to the book fund. It's like I don't take the money, for this reason. For this reason, that I don't want to get into this maya of giving the initiations and getting the money and like that. Guru Sulochan calls it guru business. So what we do in our society, we give everything to the book fund to print books, because the dakshin, the dakshin is for the guru, for Prabhupada, right? So Prabhupada is not here, but he is here. How is Prabhupada here? He's in his books. You see? So anyway, this is how it happens. They get stuck with these formalities and they forget the essence. The essence of Krishna consciousness is not who's going to initiate. That's not the initiation. The initiation means that you become inspired by what the spiritual master says and you pass it on. That is the disciplic succession. I was mentioning a few days back, the parampara in real time is going on. The parampara in real time. The second Prabhupada was here, he would instruct his closest disciples, like Hansadutta, whatever, and then they would instruct the others. Prabhupada didn't meet every single devotee. Right? This is called a Ritvik system. A Ritvik system means Prabhupada is in the center, and then he preaches to the close circle, and they pass it on, pass it on, pass it on, like a chain reaction, you know. So that parampara is going on also in real time, not just, you know, over the ages, over the years, like we have the Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti, and so on until Prabhupada, but is also going on in real time. You know, is expanding also in real time. So yes. So unfortunately, because people, they do not become interested in purification. They're not interested to follow the instruction of the spiritual master. They want something in return. That's why Krishna sends all these, you know, living gurus, people who have some kind of a motivation, to give them the illusion that they are, you know, they are like something higher, whatever. And then everyone claims that, oh, I'm the most close to God. There are differentiations, like we have the Kanishtadikari, Madhyamadikari, Uttamadikari. These are the real divisions. Not that, oh, how many years I've been in the movement, how big, you know, how big is my danda, or, you know, whether this person throw the banana in the fire or that person. You know, Hansadutta, he sent me an email recently, and there was some devotee from Czech Republic, you know, so he was asking to Hansadutta. I believe he's a sincere soul, but he was asking, are you still initiating? Because I would like to take initiation from you, Hansadutta, because you're the original Ritvik. But Hansadutta now, he's not doing anything, any preaching. He himself said that I'm not doing anything. I'm like retired. I can give some advice, but I don't want to get involved in any sort of preaching. People are interested to get initiation from Hansadutta because Hansadutta is famous. This is a fact. You know, or what is his name? Radhanath, right? Radhanath is famous also. So it becomes kind of like a prestigious thing. Prestigious, that you have kind of like a nice certificate that this person is my guru. And the whole point of accepting a guru is lost. You know, the point to accept a guru is to hear about spiritual topics and become purified. You see, so Krishna sends all these gurus and all these religions and just to fulfill your desire. But it doesn't mean that these, you know, different groups are bona fide necessarily. You know, they might be actually confusing you and giving the wrong information, especially if they emphasize the formality over the essence. So this is where the path becomes deviated from the disciplic succession. When the formality is put above the essential teaching. It's like, you know, many devotees, they think, oh, if we don't get the exact temple where Prabhupada set up the deities, when he installed the deities, then, you know, we can't go back home back to Godhead. So we have to fight, we have to reform the whole of ISKCON, and then we'll be bona fides. They're stuck to the formality. Whether this place or that place, any place becomes spiritualized if the activity is spiritual. And any place that was previously spiritual can become material if the activity becomes material. It's very important. So you yourself, you become the walking liberator. If you follow the instruction, then you can turn also. By following, you might not be some empowered personality, but by this, by your virtue of following the liberated personality of your spiritual master, you become a walking liberator, and you start turning matter into spirit. You can also set up your center and turn an ordinary place into a spiritual Vaikuntha expansion. And you can also turn others into devotees by the virtue of following the bona fide spiritual master and preaching the information that you have been given by the spiritual master. You can change someone from a non-devotee to a devotee. It is possible. So this is more like a Madhyam Adhikari platform, a preacher. He can convert others into Krishna consciousness from scratch, not through politics, not stealing. You know, many times we see on book distribution, the Christians or the Muslims, they pick on us because they think, oh, these people, they're looking for God, so they're easier than the atheists. They don't preach to the atheists. But when they see, oh, these guys are looking something esoteric, some India, so maybe I can turn them to Islam. Or, you know, the Christians, they come, oh, you into, austerity or whatever, so we have some austerity. We have some chanting also in a church. Why don't you come? See, they don't go and preach to the atheists. So this is very weak. This is the Kanishta mentality, Kanishta type of preaching, that I'm just going to go to some other camp and I'm going to steal these people. I'm going to steal. Kanishta is not, actually he cannot preach, he cannot convince on his own merit. He has to, through some politics, create some confusion and then, change the people's minds like that. So that is very low class. We can understand this person as a Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari. In the Shri Upanishad, Prabhupada says the Kanishta Adhikaris are, you remember? Shri Upanishad. Are, the definition of a Kanishta Adhikari. What?
Only one thing, because one
Yeah.
of the, they think that deities are only particular temples,
Yes.
the other.
Exactly.
Doing this? Or?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
They always argue. They always argue. What is the best process to worship Krishna, to worship the Lord? They argue. No, my process is the best. No, my process. All the different camps, they think only in my temple there is Krishna, my deity, my organization. So, Madhyam Adhikari, he does not do this arguing. He sets up his own preaching and he attracts people on his own merit. You see, that's how we understand this is a Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari. And the association of Madhyam Adhikari is very much helpful. He's not like a Uttam Adhikari, but he can awaken spiritually people on spiritual platform. The Kanishta Adhikari, so-called preacher, he is simply changing that I'm going to give you more pakoras. Or he tried to alert like that. Oh, we have a bigger temple. Why don't you come to our camp? Like that. That's how Kanishtas are preaching. Or our guru is more famous. Or we have more members. Or we have more, something material, So these people who are so much attached to the external formalities, they become alert and they become deviated. You see? So, very much, it is very important that we become aware that we have a great responsibility. That responsibility is we have to select what we want. We have to make a priority list. Do I want to go back home, back to Godhead? Or I still want to enjoy in the material world? Because if you make the decision, no more, this is all garbage. Even what to speak of illicit sex and meat eating and even eating, sleeping, this is also this should also be given up. You know, now when I say this, many times people say, "What? You crazy?" They're screaming and shouting. So giving up eating and sleeping, this is okay. This is too much. Okay, smoking, this meat eating, the people, even karmi people, they can understand this is bad. But eating and sleeping, the basic necessities of life. But it's actually a fact. If you're not interested to give up eating and sleeping, in other words, the activities of the body, that you can't really approach the spiritual master because you still want to enjoy on the bodily platform. We're not saying that you should stop eating and sleeping, but it's not the activity of the soul, period. The activity of the soul is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, and so on. The 9 principles of devotional service. So, unless we become serious about this point, there's no question of finding a bona fide spiritual master. We can research so many times. We can go to this master, that master. We can go on and on. We'll never find that master because we can't see him. We're blinded by that motive. We have a motivation. Okay, we're in the bodily conception of life. We have, material desires. That's okay. But don't mix it up with the spiritual advancements. Keep it separate. You have material desires, that's okay. You have temptations, that's fine. You're even committing sinful activities, what can be done? But don't justify that. Oh, so what's wrong with ganja? It's fine. What's the problem? Like this Vivekananda said. You all gods. Everyone is gods. Why concern about sinning? There's no sin. You gods. There's no sin for God. The Vivekananda, rascal number 1, Mayavadi. So if you're like that, if you're insincere, that, oh, what's wrong with it? It's okay. No, it's not okay. You're not the body. The aim of life is not to eat and sleep or anything for the body. Anything for the ego. If you think that, oh, I deserve to be praised for my devotional service. Oh, I have chanted 16 rounds, so I deserve that everyone claps. Or I make a temple, so everyone should clap. Or I made 1 devotee. Or I distributed 1 million books, so I deserve to be praised. Still you don't get it. Still you don't understand. If you want this sort of motivation, desire to be fulfilled, again, it's not going to work. So the sages of Namasharanya, they asked Sutta Goswami to extract from all the scriptures the essence. And then later on, Sutta Goswami will explain. It's the Savai Pumsha Parodharmo Yato Bhaktira Dukshaja Aitukia Pratyata Yatma Suprasidati. That occupation by which the soul is pleased, that's devotional service, unmotivated, unconditional, no motive. That is the essence. And that is the duty of the spiritual master, to always bring us to that essence and liberate us from all these motives. To expose, sometimes it hurts, sometimes Prabhupada exposes our motive. Like Prabhupada meets different people. What is your philosophy? He asked them. What is your philosophy? And then that person says, in our teaching we say, and Prabhupada says, no, that is bogus. And Prabhupada lays down the arguments. Right? So sometimes it's difficult for people to take it. Many of the guests, they want to run away. When you listen to the conversation, many of the guests, they say, okay, Swamiji, I don't want to take much of your time. And they want to go when they're smashed. So then Prabhupada usually say, give him prasadam. You heard this on conversations? You have never heard the conversations? Yeah. Very often Prabhupada says like this. Give him some prasadam, And then the devotees are trying to convince him, please just take a little bit. Take. So it's not easy to hear from the spiritual master. But that is sincerity, that even if I'm smashed, I still continue hearing from the spiritual master. I should be open-minded because I am being smashed all the time by the material energy. All the time I'm being smashed. All the time I'm being defeated. And if I think I'm the great winner, I'm successful, no, what you're saying, then death will come, the ultimate defeat. And death is coming for sure. So are we ready to become pure devotees, or we still want to linger around, still want to flirt with Maya? That is the real question. So, any questions? questions. Prabhu's, any questions, comments, criticism, realizations? If you want to write a question, please write yes, and then continue in a different comment. That's kind of like a neat idea. So I can see that you are writing the questions. I don't shut down the session before you can finish writing your question. Okay, Nitya Prabhu, Hare Krishna, how are you? How to know if we are connected with Paramatma or we are enjoying bliss? Well, if you're connected with Paramatma, then you're enjoying bliss, no? I don't understand. Or we are enjoying bliss. It's not very clear, Prabhu. Can you elaborate? How to distinguish bliss from material enjoyment? Ah, okay, very good. The spiritual bliss, the symptom of spiritual bliss is that you give up the material enjoyment. Just like devotees, they're giving up illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication. Who can do this? In this contaminated age, who can follow these rules? It's not a joke. So they must be enjoying some bliss. Unless they're enjoying spiritual bliss, they won't be able to give up these. So like that. We have some commercials there on the site. Very good. Bliss commercials. I don't know. Is it clear, Nitya Prabhu? Or you want more elaboration? You can feel it. If you are able to follow these principles, then you connect it. And if you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're not giving up these sinful activities, that means that something is wrong. You're not connected truly. You have to make a little adjustment. There's some misunderstanding. But if you're chanting and you're able to follow these 4 regulative principles, that means that you're connecting to Srila Prabhupada. That is actually the symptom. Makacho joined. Maybe he's going to ask some question. Oops. Oh, okay. Put it in English. Oh, okay. Yeah. Makacho posted this quote from Nectar of Instruction. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. Very good. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice quote. Nitya, Prabhu, how to see that we are not getting mechanical in devotional service, like how to go from mental to heart. I'm getting mechanical. No, in the beginning you're mechanical. You have to be mechanical. You can't skip the mechanical stage. There's a Vaidhi Bhakti. That is there. In the beginning it's by force. You have to follow the instructions very strictly. So first you focus on the mechanical. You rise early in the morning. You have to follow exactly what Prabhupada says. Rise before 4. Prabhupada says if you don't rise before 4, you have no spiritual life. So I don't know, do you wake up early like that? Do you follow all these principles? Rising before 4, then Mangalarti, perform Mangalarti, chant the prayers. This is all part of sadhana bhakti. Like we do here. That's not for the temple devotees, that's meant for everyone. The samsara prayers, these are authorized prayers we should chant as disciples of Prabhupada. We have to follow this. The Guru Puja, do you perform Guru Puja every day? I don't know. Do you perform a Goda Aratik every day? And then preaching. Or if you have a job, then you give the result to the service of Krishna, 50%. You follow all these principles? If not, then there's no question of any heart or any spontaneous nothing. So you can't skip that stage. You have to follow the mechanical first. It's like you want to read a very thick book, but you don't know the ABCD. First you learn the ABCD, then you read the book. This is another problem. Many devotees, they say Prabhupada is the Guru and so on and so on, but they don't follow Prabhupada's instructions. All right, anyone else? Any question? Is it okay, Nitya Prabhu? Prabhupada says that how to get enthusiasm, how to get enthusiastic about devotion. You need enthusiasm for everything. So how do we get enthusiasm? Prabhupada reveals the secret. You know what is the secret? Following the rules and regulations strictly. That's what Prabhupada says. If you follow strictly, you become very enthusiastic. See, this is a little difficult for us to understand because rules and regulations in the material world means your enthusiasm drops, right? You don't want to be limited by some rules and so on. If you have some enthusiasm and then I force you to follow some rules, your enthusiasm drops. But in devotional service, no. In devotional service, it's the other way around. The more strict you are, the more enthusiastic you become. You see? So if you follow these regulations strictly, the spontaneous feeling will come automatically. You don't have to artificially, make it. This is why the Sajias make that blunder. They think that the spontaneous feeling is manufactured. You follow? It's a kind of like a contradiction. The spontaneous mood comes spontaneously, not because you artificially try to evoke it. It comes spontaneously. It's just like it's already there. We're already spontaneous to a certain level, but it's covered by material contamination. So the rules and regulations, what it is, it's Chetodarpana Marjanam. We're just purifying the heart. And when the heart becomes purified, the natural feeling for Krishna manifests on its own accord. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, the sun. If you want the sun to rise, I want the sun to rise. Come on, sun. Is it possible? No. You have to wait. You have to be patient. And then the sun, in due course, rises. So that's why the rules and regulations are important. It's not fanaticism. It's the way to spontaneous devotional service. It's the way. There's no other way. You can't go to the spontaneous any other way, just by strictly following the rules and regulations. So those who are strictly following, those who are mechanical, they're actually on the way to spontaneous devotional service. And those who are skipping and they're not even following the basic principles, they're going to hell. Okay, so River Yamuna is asking, do you get 50% of your benefits from the government? Well, it's kind of hard to say, this is because the government, okay, that's the benefit from the government. It's not your income. It's for people who are in need. Right? We're speaking of someone who has money, who is earning money, and he's using it for sense gratification. So better let him dedicate 50% to Krishna service, and in this way, there's less sense gratification by force. And he is also engaged in service. He assists the preaching very nicely. Makanchur, one has to be sincere to come in touch with a bona fide spiritual master. But we can see, at least I can see in myself, that even after accepting Srila Prabhupada, there are so many material desires, and sometimes even trying to escape the order of the spiritual master, as you have pointed out, escape the hearing, chastisement, etc. How can we reconcile the fortune of meeting Srila Prabhupada, taking up the process, etc., and these side thoughts or agendas? We have to give them up. That's all. The Prabhupada is not guilty of our material desires. And we are nonsense. He's giving us the mercy, even we might not be qualified. He's pushing it. Come on, come on. I'll take you back home, back to guidance. Just promise me one thing. Follow these principles. That's all. But we're not serious. So we have to become serious. Even after taking up the process, taking initiation and everything, we still have to become serious. It's an allurement. The formal initiation is an allurement. Come, 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 come. But it's not it's just the beginning. Initiation means beginning. It's not the end. Some devotees think it's the end. I got my guru, the famous guru, Hasaduta or Radhanath or whatever. And that's it. Now I'm perfect. So there's a great misunderstanding. One may then doubt his own sincerity and become discouraged. Yes, that should be. We should be discouraged about this false idea that we're great devotees. That should be discouraged. Yes, that is that is the actual initiation, when we understand that we're not surrendered. That's the beginning. And so long you think, oh, I'm a great devotee, I know everything, I'm very surrendered, I'm very pure, then you simply create disturbance wherever you go. Ramachandra, Hare Krishna Prabhu, here is a nice quote, how by following regularly one becomes transcendental. Okay, thank you. These boys, European and American boys, people admire because they have been given immediately lift to the position of transcendental life. Sagunam Samati Taitan. They have been helped to jump over the transcendental platform. How? Viri Bhakti. Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Vyabhicharini means someday I do something, someday I do not do that. That is called Vyabhicharini, not fixed up. But if you follow regularly the rules and regulations, Viri Bhakti, to rise early in the morning, to offer Mangalarti, then read Granthas, Granthas means scriptures, chant Hare Krishna, then dress the deity, then again offer something. In this way, that there is regular routine work that is called Vidi Bhakti. Vidi means he must, he cannot neglect it. Just like your legislative assembly is called Vidhana Sabha. Vidhan Sabha means whatever is enacted there, you must follow. That is the state order. Similarly, there are rules and regulations which one must follow. Then Vidi Bhakti. As soon as he accepts these rules and regulation and offers Krishna service under the rules and regulation, immediately he is in the transcendental platform. Immediately. Just see, just by following the rules and regulations strictly, you are immediately on the transcendental platform. You might not perceive it. That's why Prabhupada calls it the imperceivably liberated. You become imperceivably liberated. You might not perceive it, but you are actually on a transcendental platform. And you can see that when you have some Maya, you can see the difference in your consciousness. Some little fall down is there. You can immediately feel it. Oh, you feel the pollution. So that means that you are on the transcendental platform. If it's material, if it's a material process, how come you feel the difference? If you have a little failure, a little fall down, you feel the mind is disturbed, depressed, and so on and so on. You fall down. Okay, Nitya Prabhu gives another quote. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Initiated means begging, but I think you meant beginning, no? As soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the... That's right. Very good, Nitya. Thank you so much for this quote. Makanchu Jai. River Yamuna. Was it much easier to follow the regulation instructions for the boys and keep girls when Prabhupada was physically alive? No, I'm not sure if I follow. Was it much easier to follow the regulation instructions for the boys and keep girls? If the boys are keeping girls on the side, that is not allowed. I think that was a typo there. Is it a typo? Did you mean instructions for the boys and girls? Srila Prabhupada is still alive and always be. Yes. Well, she said physically alive. Anyway, I'm going to try to answer the question how I understand it. Yes and no at the same time. Prabhupada was giving his association. It's like who can read all these books? We read for a little while, but Prabhupada was there constantly preaching to the devotees. So they were forced to hear constantly. And he would attract them. He would, answer the questions according to their circumstances. So it was more captivating for the devotees than read the books. Okay, Mataji, no problem. So it was easier for the devotees to hear than read the books. So for that reason also Prabhupada established ISKCON. So the devotees are also preaching. They're vibrating the instruction. It's not that the books are there lying and it's kind of like a museum where you go and you just read the books and then you go home. No, it's a living. Like Prabhupada says, the vibration, that is what is living, right? That is what we follow. That is what is living. It's not the physical body. It's the vibration. That is the living spiritual master. So devotees would hear from Prabhupada and they would repeat the message to others. And in this way, it was constant vibration. The message would circulate. So this creates the very nice spiritual atmosphere when people are inspired to follow. It's not necessarily Prabhupada's physical presence. We can also become the embodiments of Prabhupada. If we repeat his message, we can also inspire others to follow the regulative principles very nicely. It's not that Prabhupada has to be here physically. Actually, I posted this quote recently on Facebook. I don't know if you noticed, but it's a very interesting quote. Where is it? Yes, Madhudvis is asking, cannot become a medical practitioner by simply reading the books. He must study under medical practitioners. So in the case of your books, is it possible to become a devotee without actually having personal association with you, just by reading your books? Prabhupada, no, it is not that you have to associate with the author. Okay, very clear. You don't have to associate with the author to become a devotee. But one who knows, if you cannot understand, so he says, if you cannot understand, if you can understand, you don't need any other association, any other Siksha Guru. If you cannot understand, you have to take lesson from him, right? It's like you asking me this question. So you're approaching me to clarify, okay? If you don't understand. But if you understand, just by reading the books, you don't have to ask me. All the questions are answered in Prabhupada's books. Not necessarily that you have to contact with the author always. Prabhupada is very clear. I mean, how can they manufacture this living guru thing? You know, you need a living Diksha Guru or living Shiksha Guru or something you need, you know, that I have and I'm going to give you. Just give me some money or some whatever. It's cheating. Prabhupada says the books, if you understand, if you're intelligent, you have full guidance in the books. It's very clear. All right, Mataji. You can follow if you simply read the books of Prabhupada. If you can't follow, then you associate with like-minded devotees. But like-minded devotees will never say that you need me. Prabhupada's books are useless. You need me with the books. No, they will say, no, books are there, but if you have a problem, I'm going to help you out. See, this is called Shiksha Guru. He's assisting. He's not trying to eclipse the Diksha Guru. He's assisting the Diksha Guru. Right? The quote actually continues. Devotee, just like the textbooks are not written by the teachers, they're written by other professors. You see? The teachers, who is the teacher? Those are the devotees, the disciples, the Shiksha Gurus or Shiksha Gurus in training or Bhatma Pradaksha Gurus, whatever you want to call them. They're the teachers. And who is the professor? Prabhupada. Okay? Devotee. Usually you don't even meet the author. Usually you don't even meet the author. Alright? Prabhupada says to this, simply one who knows the subject matter, he can explain. See, that is the criterion. Who knows the subject matter. Not whether one is initiated or senior or this and that. One who knows, one who has read the books and he can explain from the books. And then when you read the books, you see that, that's written in the book. So you can verify whether he's speaking the truth or not. Not that, it's some kind of an esoteric Vaishnava etiquette. He knows this very sublime and subtle Vaishnava etiquettes. That's nonsense. Nothing is vague. A Shiksha Guru, you can verify whether he's really speaking the truth. Because the books are there, the authority. Just like Prabhupada, he's also showing the example. Right? He gives the shloka and then he gives the purport. And he gives the shloka, he translates the shloka, just so we can verify whether he's actually speaking the truth according to the shloka, the translation. He gives word by word translation. See, this is a transparent spiritual master. He's not trying to eclipse, you have no right to question, to challenge me. Just listen what I have to say. He's transparent. Yes, this is the scripture. This is what the scripture says. Like that. He's teaching the scripture. He's not teaching his own philosophy. So, simply one who knows the subject matter, he can explain Madhurvis. But would your purports, would that serve as explanation besides? Very important. Very important question he's asking. He's asking, are these purports the explanation? Is this the guidance of the Guru, your purports? Because we have this, the book Bhagavata and a person Bhagavata. You have to learn the Bhagavata book from the person Bhagavata. This is a statement in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the Bhagavatam also is there. So now Madhuri is asking this question. Is the purport, is that the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master? Now what Prabhupada says. Prabhupada, no. Anyone who knows the subject matter, he will be able to explain. Not necessarily the author is required to be present there. There you go. Final. This is final. Not necessarily the author is required to be present there. Anyone can explain. You follow? Okay, Yamuna is asking, how do we know we are perceiving the books correctly? Things written in a book can be perceived differently by different people. Okay, very good question. Very good question. Yes, I might misunderstand the book. So how do we check the conclusion? We must understand. What is the conclusion? I might have many misunderstandings. Like, for example, myself, I'm not claiming that I have a perfect understanding of Prabhupada's books, that I don't make any mistake. I might make actually a mistake. I'm a conditioned soul. Why not? Of course. It would be most foolish for me to say that I will never make a mistake. But I understand the conclusion. And on that basis, I teach. So we have to test whether that person is fixed up in the conclusion. And this is called Siddhanta. As I was mentioning before, the different religions, they get stuck on the formalities and they miss the essence. So the essence is the conclusion. What is the conclusion? Yayatma suprasidati. That which satisfies the Atma. Okay, devotional service, we perform devotional service which satisfies the Atma, satisfies the soul. So again, how do you know that your soul is satisfied? You perceive spiritual bliss. It's like our society is called bliss. You perceive bliss. And how do you know? How do you distinguish spiritual bliss from material bliss? You're giving up sinful activities. Okay? This is waterproof. You follow? This is waterproof. Prabhupada says you don't need a certificate. You can judge. Just like if you eat, oh, I'm satisfied. My hunger is satisfied. If you eat, you don't need anyone to tell you, yes, you're satisfied. I'll give you a certificate. Oh, I'm not really sure if I'm satisfied. Can you give me a certificate? Can you give me a diploma? You see? So that initiation, again, it's just a acknowledgement of a connection that is already there. It's external, formal initiation. Mankancho adds, we can also check our understanding in the association of devotees by discussing the books. Absolutely. That's why devotee association should not be based on, oh, can I get this benefit, or can I get that benefit, or can I get initiation from this person, or can I get this from that, and can I get more prasadam, or whatever. The association of devotees should be based on this, and I have some realizations, but I'm not sure if it's absolutely correct. Just like you coming, Mataji, right? This is a very good example. You have some realizations, you have some feelings also with Krishna, and so on, so on. So you're coming here just to verify. You're asking scientific questions, just so you don't become misguided. This is very good. So in the association of the other devotees. And if there are no devotees, to ask, to associate with, then you make the devotees. You make the devotees. See, and the devotees you make, they can become your guides also. This is the most wonderful in Prabhupada's movement, that the people you preach to, they can become more elevated than you are. And they can guide you after. You see, Prabhupada actually mentions this in the 4th canto. You remember that quote with Dhruva Maharaj? Prabhupada says, it's a wonderful statement. Prabhupada says, because Dhruva Maharaj took his mom back to Vaikuntha, because his mom gave him the instruction, go to Vishnu. And because of her instruction, she was a simple woman. She might not practice any austerity or some practice, whatever. But because she gave him that initial advice, go to the forest and meditate on Vishnu, he achieved perfection. So then they went back home, back to Godhead together. And Prabhupada notes in the purport, he says, similarly, I also pray that if any of my disciples becomes a pure devotee, that he will also carry me with him back home, back to Godhead. It's wonderful. Wonderful transcendental emotion. Prabhupada mentioned it many times. I see my disciples as my spiritual master, the representatives of my spiritual master. We should understand. We might not feel like that. We might be very puffed up, all these guys. I told them everything and they're rebelling against me. What is this? Sometimes I feel like that, you know. It's Makanchur and Ramachandra. Sometimes I feel like, oh, they're rebelling against me. But we should slowly develop that mentality. We should treat others as superior, and we should think of ourselves as inferior. At least theoretically, we should understand that this is the aim of our spiritual practice. And if we make it our siddhanta, that the senior must always stay senior, and the junior must always stay junior forever and ever, if we make it our siddhanta, then how can we ever come to the position of a pure devotee? Okay, Makanchar, he quotes this statement from Prabhupada. Yeah, this is a very nice quote also. Please accept my blessings. I'm in due receipt of your letter dated September 24th, 1974. I'm pleased to hear that you are chanting 16 rounds daily and reading my books regularly and following the 4 rules. In my books, that's very important, in my books, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is explained fully, okay? Not 50% or 80%, or 95% or 99%. So that 1%, I need a living guru, or 0.0001. So I am the living guru who gives you that tiny little percentage. No, fully means 100%. No loophole for any sort of a guru. So if there's anything, now Prabhupada gives the guidance. This is a good answer to your question, Mataji. So if there is anything which you do not understand, or in other words have a doubt, or whatever, then you simply have to read again and again. By reading daily, the knowledge will be revealed to you, and by this process, your spiritual life will develop. See, who is actually applying this instruction? These people were asking, oh, you need a living guru, oh, you can't understand, But have you tried this? Have you followed the general instruction by the Acharya, first of all? Prabhupada gives a general instruction. This is for everyone. Oh, you don't understand? You have no devotee association? You doubtful? Read my books again and again, and the knowledge will be revealed to you. What is the difficulty? The only difficulty is that we don't want to read. We're lazy. Oh, I read it so many times. Oh, I need something esoteric. Some special instruction, something very exciting. So then, why are you complaining? You don't want to follow what Prabhupada says? Don't suffer. Go and accept some rascal guru. and cheat yourself. All right, Prabhus, we have to finish. Unless you have some very urgent question, or you know what? If you have a question, please message me. I'm gonna answer it personally on the keyboard. All right, Prabhus. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bol.
की जय की जय हरि हरि बोल नमो
Hare Krishna. Thank you. All glories to Prabhupada.